All right, viewers, we are getting ready tonight for the show with our broadcast with Nancy Wadden from Local 6. This is Rebecca. I'm from Ripple Effects Canada. I am quarantined in my house here, staying home, safe at home, as I hope everyone else is. We have some input from a lot of people in the last 48 hours, so I'm hoping that we can utilize this as a platform for everyone to share their thoughts, input. I'm getting texts as we speak, so if you want to put something in the comments, please let us know. I want to do a quick sound check. Bring Nancy on here. Good evening, Nancy Wadden. Let's do a sound check. Can you hear me, Nancy?
I can, Rebecca.
Awesome. So I was going to try and play that CBC interview. I was halfway through listening to it along with many others, but to date, that was a really informative one, and I know you just listened to it. What's your thoughts after listening to that interview? We're going to post a link to it for our viewers after, and it's the one CBC this morning that was done. But what was your thoughts after you listened to that, Nancy?
I don't know if I'm going to say them.
All right, we can always that question and come back.
They're still there. It sounds like they're going to address, our questions and our concerns, but allowing people to decide whether they want to go or not. I don't know if that's the right answer. I don't know. I don't know in a port if some go and some stay. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, but general consensus though. Sorry, I just came in from outside and had to get over to this quickly. But general consensus that I'm picking up on is there's some very valid concerns coming in from all different angles. I mean, you can't ignore that. I have a couple questions for you after collecting some information and speaking with Ruth Innes of Maritime Fishermen's Union. Do you think it's fair that the federal government has not announced a relief package yet, but are still expecting fish harvesters to make decision to fish and risk the health of communities?
No, I think with the seasons approaching as quickly as they are, I mean, they're almost on top of us now, especially in some other areas. We still have a few more weeks to go, but some areas are supposed to be starting very soon. I think a decision should have been made long before this. There's a big expense involved in even getting ready to go fishing. So having some direction and knowing what you were doing would be a big help to a lot of people, I think.
And because typically right now, for any viewers tuning in from anywhere in Canada, right now would be when lobster season, the fishermen are down at the wharfs, they're getting their traps ready. Like Nancy just said, there's a lot of money involved into getting going, getting started. Apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy, fishing has already opened up in some areas. Is that my understanding?
It's down Southwest Nova. Their season runs, it starts in the fall and it runs, I believe it runs until I think theirs ends the second week after ours starts, but I'm not sure on that date. But they have a very long season because they fish through the winter and they lose a lot of time to weather. So some of those guys have pulled their gear in, but some are still fishing.
Yeah. Do you feel lobster and crab are? Yeah.
Do I feel lobster and crab are what?
Essential food items for Canadians at this time. Viewers, what do you think? Do you consider? Let's not ask the lobster fishermen. Let's ask the viewers that are not fishing. Is lobster something that you typically pick up as an essential food item? Yes or no in the comments is all that we're asking for. And I know what you think. I know how you feel, Nancy.
Yeah.
And personally, it's not on my grocery list. I wish it was every time I went down, but it definitely is a luxury item for myself and the kids. So we'll get some viewers. We're also just giving a little bit time to build an audience here. And I'm just going through some other texts that I'm getting here. So viewers, feel free in the comments if you've heard or seen or listened to any links lately. There we go. Bernadette Marsh says no. Brian Morgan Hooter, no. Darren LeBlanc, no. Yeah, it's a treat. I mean, when
for most people, it's a treat. Yeah, it's not an everyday plate item in most people's homes.
Yeah. It's not something, it's not, I'm getting texts here from people that, also prefer to be anonymous, but they're saying, no, it's not something that they would pick up as an essential food item. I'm just curious because like I said, it's not something I would pick up. So I'm getting quite a few texts here. Our show begins in 5 minutes here. I'm going to put up someone else's hello here. Hello, Ron LeBlanc. Thank you, Darren LeBlanc. There we go. What other question did I have for you, Nancy? What do you feel is the importance that forms strong democratic organizations during a crisis like this? Like, there's a white elephant in the room. Let's say it what it is. We don't want to get into what people feel, how much, numbers, packages, votes. We don't want to get into any of that terminology. And sometimes we use the wrong words even for something like that. But there is a lot of opinions flying in from every different, person, organization. But right now, what do you feel is the most important key elements in forming a strong democratic organization during something like this, which none of us ever planned for?
Oh no, that's for sure. I think you have to have strong leadership, and you have to have people that are willing to be under that leadership. They have to be willing to work and adapt within the structures of that society.
Yeah.
Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I mean, nobody, whether your opinion is right or wrong, everyone is entitled to their own. But sometimes we have to say, okay, well, maybe I'm not right, and maybe I have to step back and I have to listen to somebody that might know a little bit more than I do. Yeah. We don't like to do that, though.
Hi, Margie.
People don't like to do that.
No, that's right. And I mean, it's not something that you plan for. I mean, I'm hearing all this, communication that's having to take place in such a strategic manner, and I don't even know how you guys are doing it at this stage. So kudos to you and anyone at the having to be part of this, all of collecting this data. Now, I have heard that the focus is getting surveys out, collecting that input and data. Do you have any updates on that, Nancy? What should someone do if they want to go forward and put in their input as a boat owner, as a fisherman?
I know that the MFU, did a survey to our members. Not everybody participated in it, but the survey is closed now. But the general consensus was either a delayed or no season for those that did vote. I think you have to talk to your port rep. We all have port reps, and I think they have to talk to their port reps and help to get their voice across that way. Because individual voices, they matter, but they're not going to listen to every single one of us individually. We need to have somebody do the speaking for us. So if your port rep can talk to DFO and the minister, that's another voice at it.
Yep. Brendan Burke has a comment here. I'm going to show it on screen. He says, with over half of Canada on EI or some other fixed income right now, if they have $100 to go get groceries, they're going to get essentials like melt bread, not a lobster. Yeah, that's exactly right, Brendan. That's what majority is saying here. So, Nancy, what would be the concerns? I know we went through it last night, but for those that missed the broadcast last night, what are the concerns that fishermen, the obvious concerns that fishermen have in terms of safety?
It's the biggest concern is the safety and the health of themselves, their crew, their families, the workers at the plants, the families of the plant workers. I mean, it's just it's a long road of people. It's not just one person on a boat. There's a lot of steps in the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And we work in
So
very
how
close
would that?
proximity.
Yeah, kind of impossible to get that 2 meter distance on a boat when you're
Very,
shoulder to shoulder.
yeah, very hard.
Mm-hmm. And then you're not just putting kind of the boat crew at risk, as you said. You're putting your community, because these are small little usually fishing villages, and you're seeing not just people you don't know. You're seeing your family. You're in touch. You're around. You're mingling with others. So it sounds to like it is creating a risk there in communities and whoever comes in contact. Do you have any updates on anything since we last talked? I know it was last night we spoke, but do you have any updates as of yet?
No, the only thing new is what I just heard is what Minister Jordan said. Other than that, I don't know anything new.
Yeah. Do you mind, given that terminology would have made more sense to you in some areas in that interview that you just listened to? Would you give a summary of what you just heard on the interview? I'm going to post the link. I tried to play it just before you came on, but there was no sound to it. But what was the gist of that interview
the gist of what I got out of what she just said was that they are now going to look at our concerns of the fishers, but it sounds like it's going to be on an individual basis. You decide whether you want to go fishing or not, and perhaps there will be some kind of financial assistance there for you. But she did stress that it would not be an income replacement. It would be help, but it wouldn't be a large income replacement.
And any thoughts on that?
I don't know if leaving it up to the individual fishermen themselves to make the decision. Health and safety and all our concerns and everything aside, if the season is open in your area, you're going fishing.
Mm-hmm. So we're interested, viewers that are listening in that are not fishermen, if you're kind of taking stock on the situation here in Atlantic Canada. I mean, it is a huge industry. It is a big industry, and it's only a couple months out of the year. Am I correct, Nancy? There's 2 months out of the year, basically, that.
Yeah, our season in 27 is a 9-week season.
Okay. So 2 months out of the year, and the situation at hand is it's escalated. I mean, there's a lot of input. There's a lot of options coming in from different people, and that's not as much what we're here to discuss tonight as just getting a voice out there for viewers and for fishermen. A public, transparent platform basically is what we're looking for. So Susan Mason McDonald, small coastal communities will be at risk. Just trying to catch up on some comments here. You're welcome to put your suggestions, though, if you don't mind being not anonymous in the viewer comments. I will highlight them on screen here if you want to bring something to the table. If Nancy doesn't feel comfortable, of course, addressing it at this point, then I have to pass on that question. But Christine Heighton says, if someone gets sick at a plant processing, the plant is shut down, what happens to the lobster on the floor that was being handled at that time? Would it be contaminated, and who would have to pay for it?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes you think, though.
It
Definitely
does.
Makes you think of a.
And the plant is going to shut down, so then the plant is shut down, so therefore there's no buyer there. There's no one to buy the lobsters, so I don't know what whoever is selling to that buyer is. They're in a bind then.
Mm-hmm. Now, you made a good point. I saw Charlotte. Yeah, go ahead.
Another issue yesterday that I spoke about, what happens if somebody on the boat gets sick? the boat can't go fishing.
Yeah.
Your crew everyone is quarantined for 14 days, and your gear is still in the water. You only have 72
Right.
hours before you have to haul your gear, and no one else can attend to your gear. So, it's a very mixed bag of tricks.
So that's a good point you just brought out. The fishermen go down, they start into the season. I was just talking to one this morning, a boat owner. That's a big loss of money, is it not? If you start in and then it stops?
Well, it's a lot of money that you've put out, and then if the season were to start for a week or two, and then the buyers say, okay, that's it, I can't buy anymore, I don't know where that leaves us.
Mm-hmm.
That's another issue. If the minister needs to give us some kind of guarantee that if there is a season, and if we do go fishing, and if the buyers all stop buying after a couple of weeks, there has to be some kind of financial aid there for the fishers and their helpers. I mean, I think every single and every single license holder, they're concerned for their crew.
Yeah. But you're kind of caught in a catch-22, though. I'm sensing is there's just so many complex things to think about in this situation. It's not an easy answer.
There is no easy answer. No, there's not. And given the choice, we all want to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Every fisherman that you ever talk to, you live and breathe to get on the water. That's what you want to do. You want to go fishing. I can't imagine sitting on shore and just looking at the water all summer and not being on it. But that being said, if it's a general consensus that there is no season, well, then that's what there is. There is no season, and we have to make the best of it. But if the season is open, guys aren't going to sit on the shore. We're going to hope for the best and hope that nobody gets sick. And if worst case scenario is that people get sick, and then the whole thing will have to be shut down then, won't it? And then it might be too late then.
Like I said before, I was very transparent. I do not know a lot about the lobster industry. It's like I said, it's not something that I've studied, because it hasn't been an essential food item ever on my grocery list. But in listening to you and in talking to so many people, I have so many questions. But just one, I would even be apprehensive to purchase lobster if I knew that there was a risk of getting sick. That's just my personal input. I mean, it's...
I suppose that possibility, I don't know if that possibility exists or not. If you're buying a live product and then you're taking it home and you're cooking it, I would assume that, it would be gone in the cooking process, but I don't know. Does anybody know? They don't know.
Right. There's a lot of I don't knows.
So
yeah, there's maybe I take the safer route.
Yes.
Just trying to see some other questions here. Josephine Kennedy. Hello, Josephine out there. Thanks for watching, Josephine. Justified responsibility. The federal government just stopped the redfish survey in the Gulf due to COVID. So if public employees can't go on a boat, why are we considered essential? Okay, and I know you're not going to, you probably have a lot to say on this, Nancy, but she has a good question here. If public employees can't go on a boat, why are we considered essential? And then the plant should be shut down and product will be dumped. Robert McLean, what if the person buying your lobster has COVID-19? They could pass it on to every boat that sold it to them. Yeah, so there's just a lot of hands in the process.
There is, and that's what I mean by if the seasons go, it's the recipe for disaster. There could be major mayhem result from it.
Mm-hmm. I know what I want to get from you just before we go, because I'm going to run and get changed after this and pop on with the next show, which is Mike Calloway coming on. And he may or may not, I haven't spoken to him in a couple days. He may or may not have some updates on things, but he's going to be on. Where is my question here? Oh, darn it. Oh, the zones. So we 3 associations in Cape Breton LFA 27 is that there's different areas and different zones. So what Charlotte just said, if you can put in your input or represent what you have to say, it's best to go, correct me if I'm wrong, it's best to go see your port rep. Is that the route of communication right now?
We're working with each association is working with its members. But it would probably, I don't think it would hurt, as I said before, to speak to your port rep, and then your port rep, if DFO speaks to them or they want to speak to DFO, then they have numbers in front of them of who is for and who is against. I think every port has a rep. I'm not sure if every port does, but I know we have one in Morian. I'm assuming that most have a rep. They have to have a rep for the DFO advisory board. Mm-hmm. And every fisherman in their own port should know. Every fisherman in their own port should know who their rep is.
Yep. Christine Heighton. Intense question, but I mean, it's something worth considering. If someone, let's see here, if someone from your boat gets the virus and God forbid dies, would the boat owner's liability insurance cover them for that because of an unsafe work environment? We don't. There's a lot of I don't knows, but these are good questions.
I would probably say no, because it's a pandemic. And we are being considered essential workers. So I would have to say no.
Tracy Jardine, there's an emergency loan program, but most fishermen and seasonal employees would not qualify. You need between 50,000 and 1 million in total payroll. Association should bring this to our minister. So that was a comment from Tracy Jardine. Kevin Whitty, let's put Kevin's comment up here. Kevin Whitty, lobster to Nova Scotia is just as important as oil to Alberta. Does the government not recognize how many people are involved in the fishery in the Atlantic provinces? Hundreds of thousands, I assume. Fishermen can't turn a profit when the product has decreased 60 to 70%. Any comments on that, Nancy?
Well, yeah, it's, that's a big issue, because if we can't sell our product, where does that leave us? So if there's no market for our product, I don't know how it can be deemed an essential product. I know the minister today said that if it's the only protein available to people, that they will probably buy it, but I don't think lobster is going to be the only protein available there.
No, I have to agree with you there. I mean, mind you, I'm curious. They are putting some limits. I went to go buy some lean ground beef the other day, and they had some limits up as to how many packages you could buy. So I found that kind of interesting.
Yes, they've been doing that in our grocery stores here for a few weeks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was another one, but it's based, no, it was one I had seen before. So, viewers, this is an opportunity. Unlike, maybe some different platforms you've seen, the difference with Ripple Effects is we provide the platform for the viewers and people, the people platform. Basically, what happens sometimes we found, and why we launched Ripple Effects, is you don't often get to hear, right from the horse's mouth what people feel. And so that's what this is. So it's not prepped. We get on here, we talk, we open up the floor, and if your comments are reasonable and relevant, then we put them on the screen. What happens from that, we don't know. We can't guarantee that anything happens, but we're quite shocked with the amount of views when we do a video that's a trending topic. It adds a bit more, obviously, noise to it. So that's why we're here tonight, is to do that. So if you want to put any comments in there that you want to be seen, we can mail this link also to whoever needs to get a copy of it as well, so that there's more context coming in from all angles. Nancy, I don't think I have any other questions. Again, I want to thank you so much for your time. We're looking forward to having on someone from the other associations coming on, Cape Breton Harvester Association and possibly north of Smoky. So thank you very much for chatting with us. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me. There is one thing I would ask you when Mr. Callaway comes on. I would like to know if you could pose the question that how he thinks there's such a disparity between the northern side of the island that they definitely don't want to fish and that the eastern side wants to fish, because most fishermen that I talk to are, you know, their safety is their main concern, as I said, but if they have to go fishing, well then, if it comes down to it, then they have to make that decision. But he seems to think that they definitely want to fish. I want to know why he thinks that, and I also want to know if there's any anything in place with the government that if we do start our season and the bottom falls out of it, that the buyers tell us in 2 weeks, well, they can't buy anything. Do they have anything in place for us then? Or are we left holding the bag, wondering what we're going to do?
Okay. Well, I definitely have noted your questions, Nancy. And like I said, this stays on. This is a public transparent platform, so it stays up here. And you can actually send it to anyone that you choose too, so that they see both the questions and the comments. So definitely, viewers, as much as you can share and send this link with everyone's comments and input, greatly appreciated. I want to thank you again. Thank everyone for watching, putting in your input, and we'll see you. We're coming on again live in about 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. This is Rebecca from Ripple Effects Canada, and this broadcast is officially over. We'll see you back on in 8 minutes with Mike Callaway and frontline healthcare workers.